What's going on, guys? It's Iro here, and today I have a very exciting video for you. Today we're going to be giving just kind of my first impressions on Battlefield 2042. There's only 3 days of the beta gameplay that we were able to get, so it's a very limited, impression, but obviously we were only able to play one map, which was Orbital, and we were only able to play Conquest, so it was just kind of like the same rinse and repeat match over and over again. But nonetheless, it was still fun, still gave me a glimmer of hope for the games that come out this year. First things first, I'm going to say it looked better than Vanguard. And I'm only playing Vanguard to play Warzone. So, nonetheless, we'll just get right into it. First of all, I think one of the most striking features of the game is just the visual fidelity is absolutely insane. The color clarity and just how the colors pop and how they appear on screen and as you're moving around and as things are exploding, crashing, it looks phenomenal. It is just so vibrant, and it really brings back that nostalgia of kind of like BF3, where you've got guys flying around and aircraft, helicopters, there's jeeps whizzing by you, there's shots going off. It is absolutely great. Just the sheer impact that the visual aspect of the game has is absolutely incredible. I think it is one of the better looking games that I've seen so far this year. So as I already did, I compared it to Vanguard, right? Vanguard had this really grayish, brown, green, kind of blended color to where everything almost looked the same. This, you can really tell, like when you're entering a new area or like you're walking through the foliage and just like the whole greenery and walking through a building, the lighting, everything looks absolutely fantastic. The visual fidelity, like I said, is just, top notch. DICE really outdid themselves with this one. It looks absolutely amazing. In addition, the weapon customization is also just top notch, I think. Being able to change your attachments on the fly, you can change, at least as far as I can tell, you can change your barrel, your sight, your mag, and then you could change like a foregrip, or I think it was like a flashlight or a laser. You'll see me do it a couple times throughout this video, but I think that was a really cool aspect. It was interesting. I liked how you could change from maybe you're fighting a close range engagement and then you need to extend your range of your rifle, so really quick you can swap out the barrel and the sight so that you can reach out and hit those enemies from farther away. I think that was really cool, but it was a bit buggy at times where some of the attachments wouldn't actually be put on if you have them selected. So if I try to switch from like the red dot to the ACOG type scope, it just wouldn't work, and I think that's maybe just something wrong with the beta, honestly. But I think it was really cool. You could change your mag size, which was awesome, which also gave you different benefits. You had like armor piercing rounds, and then you had kind of like your standard 30 round mag plus one in the chamber, which I really like that realistic aspect there, that you could have one in the chamber after reloading a non-full mag, and then you reload your 30 round mag and you still have that extra bullet in the chamber. Moving into the vehicles here, those felt really good. I think the ground vehicles, like the scout vehicle, the armored vehicles, which are the tanks and everything, and the robotic support, I think those were all really cool, really well balanced. The Humvee type vehicle, the scout vehicle, that was really cool. Driving that around was awesome. Obviously the tanks were super sick. That was fun. They didn't feel overpowered in any way, at least from my play style. I didn't feel like I was just absolutely wiping everybody out in these vehicles, because at the end of the day you are going to have a lot of players on the opposing team with rocket launchers, so that somewhat balances things out. In terms of the aircraft and the helicopters, flying those around on mouse and keyboard were the most unnatural thing in the world. It felt like absolute shit flying those. It was so difficult. If you're playing on controller, I think you have a greater advantage of the flying vehicles. I think as soon as you got into a vehicle or saw someone got into a vehicle, you could tell if they're on mouse and keyboard or controller immediately, because I think WASD controls pitch and yaw, and I want to say your mouse controls roll and a different movement. I don't know, it just felt so unnatural, and it just felt like shit. It was horrible on mouse and keyboard. I think that's something they really need to adjust for, the aircraft and the helicopter. It just was not fun at all to play in the flying vehicles on mouse and keyboard. I don't know what it was. But moving back to the ground vehicles, I think the best part that they added in this game was that you can drop those in right on the fly. You waste no time having to, you know, check a spawn location or anything. If they're available, they're available, and you can get an airdrop, and it sends down a tank or a scout vehicle or the ranger, which is kind of like the support dog robot thing, which is super cool, by the way. I think one of the coolest things about the ranger is that it'll actually shoot helicopters for you, so it's not, you know, just focusing on ground, you know, foot targets. It was really cool to see that thing actually shoot and engage helicopters, making it a little bit more of a threat and a little more utility to it at that. Alright, last thing here covering the good. I will say the dynamic map design and just the evolution and just destruction obviously is always top tier. I think having like the almost SpaceX rocket take off, that's super cool. That really changes the map. I think having the tornado come in, that looks super sick. I mean, it just adds a whole new range of gameplay and, you know, decision making as you're in the same match. It just gives you so much, you know, dynamic to the game and to a singular match that I think isn't really brought into other games where, you know, most games you don't have levolutions like you do here. And I think that really just puts Battlefield in its own little bubble of just excellence. It just felt so good being able to, you know, run around. You have the weather changing, which throughout Orbital it would always start to rain, which is when the tornado would come, and it just felt so good to, you know, play around these different aspects as the game continued. Okay, now getting into the bad. No beta comes without its flaws. Obviously, I already said the flying on PC was just goddamn near impossible, and I think they need to fix that. They really have to fix that. The game had lots of bugs. It said it was a beta, but it honestly felt a little bit more like an alpha. I'm sure you guys have seen plenty of crazy clips online, like YouTube shorts and things like that, that just display absolute madness. I've seen a clip of a guy jumping off of the top tower, landing straight on his feet, and he's moving around for the rest of the match, going about 100 miles an hour, and it just seems absolutely broken. Some of the main issues I ran into, obviously I already said the flying was bad, but then calling in the vehicles didn't work all the time. You'd click to call it in, and then nothing would happen. There'd be no airdrop, nothing. So I ended up having to just absolutely spam that, which was really annoying. Another odd bug I came into is after flying as a passenger in the helicopter, if you get out, you can move your gun left and right, so horizontally, but then your vertical axis is stuck. You can see the little dot or crosshair in the middle of your screen move vertically, but your gun and aim won't actually move that way. I don't know, maybe that was just me, but it was really odd. Another one I ran into is black screening. So as soon as I would spawn in, I'd click a spawn location, I would spawn in, and my screen would just be black. I still had audio, I could still communicate with my teammates, and I could, you know, run around and do stuff. Like I could hear my character like running, sprinting, but it would just be black until I died again, and then I would click, you know, to respawn, and then I could, you know, go to another spawn point, and then it would be fine. But that was pretty weird. Parachuting felt kind of clunky at times. Sometimes, you know, I would parachute off the top building, and I'd cut the chute, and I'd pull it again, and it wouldn't pull. It wouldn't, you know, actually deploy the second parachute, or it would deploy the second parachute, and then I couldn't cut it again. Or if I tried to deploy the second parachute, it wouldn't deploy, but when I hit the ground, I wouldn't die. So it was just really poor in that it was just a, I guess, bad execution of that mechanic, I suppose. But that definitely needs to be looked into. And I think the last major thing was that some of the spawns almost felt like Call of Duty shipment spawns. Like I would spawn in, and I would literally be already in the middle of the fight, which is cool, but it's not great when I spawn in. I'm just like dying almost instantly off of spawning, you know, on my teammates that are in combat. You know, most of the time it did give you that notification, you can't spawn here, they're currently fighting, so that you don't get spawn killed. But a lot of the time I didn't find that that worked. But those are my really only complaints with the game. I mean, obviously it's a beta, but again, I said it felt more like an alpha. It just wasn't super polished over in terms of, you know, mechanical play. But that's really it from me, guys. Those are my first impressions on Battlefield 2042. I think the game's going to be absolutely great once it fully releases, if they fix, you know, all the bugs and tweaks. which obviously I only mentioned a few here that I ran into. I'm sure there's many more, but I think the game's going to be really good. I don't think it's going to be, the Warzone killer, because at the end of the day, the games kind of fill two different voids. Warzone is really more of a, four-man team, or, solos perhaps, 150 people fighting until you get victory, right? Whereas this is, I want to say it's 128 people total, 64 player teams, at least for Conquest, right? And so it's just a way different style of play. I would definitely say Battlefield seems more casual, and it's definitely a lot different considering you have like vehicles, just way different how they play and everything like that. But that's been my first impression of Battlefield 2042, guys. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you want to, and leave any comments down below. I'll see you guys next time.
Retreating. You've earned your rep today, No Pats.
Sentry ready!